From 12 News, this is Newsmakers.
With early voting now underway, Rhode Island's race for Congress is entering the home stretch. The 12 Democrats vying to replace David Cicilline are all fighting for voters' attention as the September 5th primary approaches. This week on Newsmakers, our conversations with the 1st District candidates continue with Providence City Councilor John Goncalves and former U.S. Navy officer Walter Berbrick. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White alongside 12 News Politics editor Ted Nesi. Again, our guest on the first half of the program, Providence City Councilman John Goncalves and Democratic candidate for Congress. Councilman, good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
60 seconds or less. Why do you want to be a member of Congress?
Sure. My name is John Goncalves, and I'm a second-term city councilman representing the East Side and downtown in the city of Providence. I'm also a fourth-grade teacher at the Wheeler School and have been a teacher for nearly the last decade. I love Rhode Island. I was born here to a single mother, and despite growing up in poverty, I was able to go from Providence Public Schools to Brown University. But my story shouldn't be the exception. I'm proud of the work that I've done on the Providence City Council, and Washington is broken and not working for us. We need a warrior in Washington that's going to fight for working class families, someone who's going to fight to hold Big Pharma, Big Oil, and the gun lobby accountable. I'm running for Congress because we need to address the climate crisis, housing affordability, and education in this country, and we need to fight for Social Security expansion and economic opportunity. But I'm also running because I believe that everyone, not just the rich and powerful, should have a seat at the table. So I urge your listeners to send a teacher to Washington so we can build a better future for our children.
You said you're proud of
your
terms on Providence City Council. What do you identify as your single biggest achievement?
Sure, that's a great question. I think, we've been the lead sponsor on several pieces of legislation. A couple weeks ago, we actually opened a Northeast facility for Tesla. And I'm proud of our right to charge law, which is going to enable us to receive hopefully millions and millions of dollars of federal funding to build out our electric vehicle infrastructure. Climate is an important issue that we need to address, and I'm proud of my record on climate, particularly in the city of Providence. I was the lead sponsor on legislation to look at expanding composting citywide, for example. So there's lots of things that I can talk to your listeners about in terms of our legislative track record and the work that we've done, particularly at the local level. And that's the kind of energy that I'm going to bring to Washington.
Well, I want to pivot to your campaign. Councilman, critics of your campaign say you're not truly serious about this run for Congress, that this is about you building up your name politically for down the road, and you're clogging an already packed field, and you're just doing this more for yourself. How do you respond to that?
Look at my track record in the community. I'm for the community, I'm by the community. I was born and raised in Rhode Island, and I've been doing that for my entire career. So, like I shared, I've been a teacher for nearly the last decade. I'm rooted in community. I've solved thousands and thousands of constituent service issues on the ground. I do that work every day. So if you want to question my record, you should question some of the...
I don't think it's not about your record. Yeah. It's not about your background. It's about your seriousness in this campaign right now. You don't have a lot of money. Well, let me ask you that. The latest fundraising just wrapped up. How much money did you fundraise in the last fundraising
I can't speak to the exact numbers, but what I
would estimate,
though. Yeah. So, but I would say that we've raised over six figures in this race, over $150,000 small grassroots contributions from people all across the state.
You only raised $10,000 then in the last period, because you had 140 on June 30th.
I'm not sure of the exact numbers. Obviously,
you don't have any sense of your fundraising for the last 6 weeks.
Of course, I do. But I would say there are people that we work with on the compliance side, they look at the numbers specifically. My job is...
That's okay, just an estimate. How much do you estimate you raised in the last fundraising period that just ended?
I couldn't tell you those numbers because I've been focused on...
You couldn't or don't
You're
want to.
not telling us, but you must have a sense, right?
I honestly don't, because I've been out talking to voters every single day.
Was it more or less than $10,000?
I would assume so. I would absolutely assume.
But you're not sure if you even raised $10,000?
We've raised over $150,000
again in the last 6 weeks. Come on, what we're asking.
The last 6 weeks, I wouldn't be able to tell you that.
So. What's your cash on hand roughly as of this week?
I don't know, but we can certainly get you those numbers. But I am going to say that we're proud of the fact that most of our contributions are from in-district. So we don't have Washington, D.C. money pouring into this race. So like some of the other candidates, our race isn't accepting any corporate PAC or super PAC money. We're not accepting any fossil fuel money. We are beholden by the people, and we're for the people. And so we've been out getting our message out to voters every single day, and that's what we continue to do.
All right, well, sounds like no matter how much we try, we're not going to get that number out of you. So let me ask you in a different way then. My lens for this race is partly the 4th District race in Massachusetts that I covered in 2020. This was the point in the race where multiple candidates who realized they couldn't win decided the most constructive way they could be part of the conversation in the final weeks was to step aside themselves and endorse among the frontrunners and help the voters make that decision. Are you considering that?
Am I considering that? I think everything's on the table. But what I would say is we've got a great base of support. If you think about the east side of Providence, for example, in the last primary election, that's 10,000 votes in this election. And we've got a great base of support on the east side. If you travel around the east side, it looks like we're virtually the only candidate that's running. And I would say that we're going out into other communities too. We've been out in places like Barrington, Little Compton, we're everywhere. And we're just getting our message out to voters one day at a time. And sure, we don't have the most money. We're going to be frank about that. But that shouldn't be a barrier to entry to our ability to serve people, particularly at the federal level, considering all the challenges that we're experiencing as a nation.
2 terms on the city council, but not a single colleague of yours on the council endorsed you. The optics of that's not good.
Sure. And I said this last night on the debate stage. I haven't been calling people for endorsements because I don't want to owe anybody any favors.
But you asked for endorsements when you ran for city council and got a couple of them, right?
So
why the double standard?
Sure. But as a byproduct of just how fast this race has been and what I've needed to do to talk to voters, I haven't been picking up the phone and calling people for their endorsements.
But they could endorse you because they want to.
Sure, but we haven't asked. So, and as you can imagine, all the other candidates are clamoring at the bit to make sure that they get those endorsements. We've been focused on talking directly to the people.
Well, I think
and
the greatest endorsement, the greatest endorsement city council, you're in a legislative body now, and you're asking to join a much bigger legislative body.
Sure.
And of course, as a legislator, nothing matters more than being able to build coalitions, come together with your colleagues to be effective. And so I think people say, well, if he's in a legislative body now and you say no one is willing to endorse you unless you called them to ask for it based on their experience working with you now, what does that say to voters about how you would do in a bigger legislative body?
Well, our greatest endorsement is the endorsement of the people. I mean, we've got hundreds of people, real people that are endorsing this campaign. And that's the people that we need to fight for. We're going to put people over politics, and that's why I haven't picked up the phone to ask people for their endorsements. I don't think that endorsements carry the day in this race. What carries the day in this race is talking to real people and addressing their real issues.
Why don't we go through a couple of topics real quick, just looking for short answers here, sort of a rapid fire. I think you'll find this section is probably pretty easy for you. Would you support or oppose a federal ban on what would have been labeled assault-style rifles like the AR-15? Support or oppose?
Absolutely.
Support or oppose term limits for Supreme Court justices?
Yes, I support that.
How long?
I think it should be 3 terms in the House and 2 terms in the Senate.
I said Supreme Court justices.
Oh, Supreme Court justices for the terms. So I think I'm more open to this discussion, but ultimately we need to have some ethic reform, particularly on the Supreme Court bench. I support also expanding the court.
You do?
Yes.
You support, which I believe Congressman Cicilline has called for, expanding the number of justices from
former Congressman.
Former Congressman.
Yes.
Otherwise he wouldn't be here.
That's right.
Yes, correct.
You started to answer the question I was going to ask, but support or oppose term limits for U.S. representatives. Sounds like you support that, and I stepped on your answer. How long? How long would that be for?
I think 3 terms in the House and 2 terms in the Senate.
And finally, support or oppose legislation that would legalize recreational marijuana at the federal level.
I support that.
My colleague Amanda Pitts earlier this week covered a big debate in Fox Point, which is in the heart of your district, about development as local opponents are trying to derail a new apartment building. The website Go Local Prov reported Wednesday, you won't say if you support or oppose the project, so Say it here. Do you support or oppose that project?
Well, so you have to look at the letter that I sent to the CPC. So I, of course, support housing affordability, and that's something that we need to square in our city. We've got an affordable housing crisis. So generally speaking and broadly speaking, I support more housing. The problem is, with this particular development, we need to make sure that we keep wicked and wicked in. And that's what I also said in that letter, and I urge the CPC to listen to our neighbors. The problem is we have a CPC that tends to rule, as they should, on by right developments, and those developments tend to pass. That's an independent process that's independent of the city council, but we set our piece. And again, broadly, I support housing and housing affordability, but simultaneously, I want to make sure that we're protecting the historic vibrancy and the fabric of Wickenden Street.
So I'm sure for voters listening, that's fuzzy to them. Do you want to see them approve an amended version of this project then, it sounds like?
Again, the CPC is an independent process,
yes.
And I think that is what is going to happen. And also something that...
But again, do you want them to do that?
Yes, and that's what they did. Which is great. So the developer is going to have to do some work on some setbacks and things like that. But still, the retail tenants and the people who are going to be a part of that project in the future, my hope is that it's more in keeping with the vibrancy of Wickenden Street in the small mom and pop shops there. But what I would say too, this is something that we've been working on is, and we've been able to pass legislation like this in the past, is a historic district overlay. And that would help to protect some of the historic vibrancy.
But a lot of
Wickenden.
housing, a lot of the YIMBY advocates say those sorts of things are actually going in the wrong direction for housing affordability, because the more red tape and regulatory stuff you put around the ability to build more housing. I mean, you're talking about one of the wealthiest areas of Providence, the
Sure.
east side,
Yeah.
making it even more restrictive to build. It's not like there's a ton of building going on now. Is that really the right direction to go? If you say you want more housing in your district?
Yes, I think it absolutely is, because if you think about it, the people who live in College Hill, they live in that neighborhood for a reason. They love their single-family homes. It's what makes Providence very special. So our zoning laws need to have nuance to them. Now, on the other hand, we need to make sure that we can push for more density in places like downtown. The more building that we do in places like downtown, the more we can address our affordability crisis.
Do you think
the same with the jewelry district, for example?
But,
so the jewelry
stick in your district for a minute.
The jewelry district is in my district.
Room for? Oh, okay. Do you think there is more room for like on Gano Street for that to be more dense, for example?
Absolutely. So, if you look at the jewelry district, for example, we have over 1,000+ units that are coming online in the next couple of fiscal years. That's real growth. That's going to enhance our tax base in the city, and it's also going to allow people to live and enjoy our city. And that's what we should be doing. And as a congressperson, I think we need to do everything in our power to bring more federal resources back to Rhode Island and to address the affordability crisis in our state. Now, we do need to have nuances to that. So there might be communities that maybe want less dense housing, but there are communities, especially the city of Providence, especially places like downtown or the jewelry district, where we can afford to build an economy that works for all. I'm also excited about the fact that
we're gonna have to go soon, and since I have 30 seconds left, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this, the signature scandal that has impacted Sabina Matos. That really thrust the first congressional race into the fore, if you will. It took a while, but the Board of Elections finally did a recount, found that she had enough signatures to get on the ballot. Councilman, are you satisfied?
I am not satisfied. I think we need to protect our democracy at all costs. I think that, look, I worked with the Lieutenant Governor during our time on the City Council, and I don't think that she's necessarily at fault, but I want to focus on the issues, and that's exactly what we've been doing during the course of this campaign.
But you said you're not satisfied. Are you comfortable with her being on the ballot?
I think voters need to have confidence, but as I'm talking to voters, I think there's a lot of voters out there, unfortunately, who have lost confidence. And our job is to make sure that we can get our message out far and wide so people know what we stand for and what we intend to do should we be elected to Congress.
All right, Democratic candidate for Congress, John Goncalves, thanks so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
When we come back, another candidate in the first congressional race, Walter Berbrick. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White alongside 12 News Politics editor Ted Nesi, our guest on the second half of the program. He's a Democratic candidate for the 1st congressional race in Congress, Walter Berbrick. Going to ask you the same question I asked our first half guest, 60 seconds or less. Why do you want to represent Rhode Island in Congress?
Yeah, well, thank you. Navy veteran, proud father, lucky husband. And, I resigned from 15 years of federal service because I can't stand and watch failed leadership and our divisive politics, rip away the very freedoms and values and democracy I've spent, the last 2 decades defending. And so I believe I have a fundamental obligation to continue serving and fighting for Rhode Islanders, fighting to make sure that, we have an economy that works for working families, making sure that that women across our country have the fundamental right to choose, making sure that we can protect our kids and communities from gun violence, making sure that we can tackle climate change, and making sure that our sons and daughters don't get drawn into another preventable war.
Going to ask you a similar question that I asked Councilman Goncalves. Whether you like it or not, you're not identified as a top-tier candidate, and some people are wondering why you're running and are you clogging up the race. What do you say to that? And to the question Ted will inevitably ask, would you consider at this maybe breaking point in the race, backing out and supporting someone else?
Yeah, I wouldn't have resigned from 15 years of federal service if I didn't fundamentally believe we could win. And unlike some of my opponents, right? I'm not a political appointee. I'm not a career politician. Don't have those high-level political connections. I'm not accepting all the dark, DC corporate PAC money that's flooding this election. So we've relied on the grassroots and generosity of grassroots supporters. We raised, almost $200,000 in 4 short months, and in the polls continue to tell us, right, 45% of Rhode Islanders still are undecided, right? They're not buying what career politicians are.
I do have to fact check that. We haven't seen a poll. We haven't seen any independent polls, and the only one I saw in months was the Sabina Matos' internal, which was old. So we don't really even know.
Yeah, it was, I think, a few weeks.
Have you polled?
4 weeks. No, we have not.
Okay.
No, we have not.
Well, let me ask you. We obviously really pressed Councilman Goncalves on this. You said $200,000 the last. What about this last fundraising? The last 6 weeks.
We don't need to the cents. We're just roughly how much you think.
1,245. No.
Yeah, exactly.
So I believe cash on hand, we're about 18, and I think we've raised close to 25, 30 in that range
in the last 6 weeks.
In the last quarter. Yeah.
Okay.
So are you in this till September 5th, no matter what?
I'm in it to win it. Look, I didn't resign from 15 years of federal service without a paycheck, without personal wealth, with 2 kids and a wife, and it's a huge risk. But there is no more greater reward than serving others, than serving Rhode Islanders. That's what I've done my entire career. I've spent 10 years in the Navy as an intelligence officer, serving and trying to keep Americans safe from extremism. Served the last 8 years as a Red Crosser, both helping prevent and respond to crises across Rhode Island. And then the last 15 years, working to bring leaders from across our government and the world together to deliver real solutions, deliver real results to keep Americans safe, primarily from authoritarian governments and military threats at the highest classification levels, but also the threat of climate change.
Well, in a race where there's a lot of similarities between the candidates, you have a different background, a different story, and I want to tap that expertise a little, both in the lens of if you were in Congress and then just in general. You served, I believe, you served the Secretary of the Navy as part of your service, right?
Yeah,
you have a role there.
Yes.
So there's been more and more talk lately, I think, about if America has fallen behind. We know we spend more than everybody else in the military.
Yep.
I think the assumption is just we're always going to have a big advantage there. But that when it comes to actually shipbuilding, having enough ships, having the industrial capacity to build enough ships, despite all the money America spends, that China might be gaining on us. I'm just curious, from your experiences in the Navy, what do you think right now of the state of America's shipbuilding capacity and I guess our preparedness?
It is one of the biggest problems that we're facing as a country, and being able to maintain a credible, powerful military to deter and defeat threats. But look, I mentioned this last night as well. We've got to spend smarter, not bigger, but not at the expense of America's biggest technological advantage and greatest military advantage, and that's in the undersea domain. And as we know, Rhode Island is big in doing that. But in terms of our surface fleet, Look, in San Francisco Bay, we were building a ship a day during World War II. We don't have that industrial capacity today. So if the bubble goes up and we've got to fight a war, we're going to be hurting. And I think, Rhode Island, we can build off of the expertise and jobs that we have here, especially in the undersea domain and shipbuilding, and look at doing it on the surface as well, because we need to expand our surface ship capability.
Not everybody agrees with you on that one, Walter. I mean, there are people who talk that the undersea warfare submarines we're talking about are a relic, and that that's not suitable to the challenges that are facing the United States right now, and should pivot more towards terrorism. What do you say to that?
That couldn't be farther from the truth. I've spent the last 2 decades, focusing at our highest classification levels on bringing leaders, the leaders, planners, decision makers, and we take the plans off the shelf and examine those through war games and bring leaders together. And the threat is real. The threat, the weapon systems are longer, so our ships and our capabilities need to be more survivable. We need to have longer weapon ranges, but in the undersea domain, the threat is real. Whether we're talking about China, an unlocated Russian submarine off of our east coast, which has happened in years past, and so these are real threats. And it's why I've spent
Who do you worry about more, China or Russia?
Right now, I believe the most urgent threat facing America and the free world is Russia. I mean, Russia we're at war right now. Russia's at war with Ukraine. And I've spent the last 3 years focusing on the Russia problem set and the war in Ukraine, bringing leaders together to help understand, what are the risks, what are the problems, what are the threats, what are the pathways to conflict, but more importantly, what are the capabilities, and how do we prevent this from spilling over? Because there's a very real possibility that this escalates both vertically in terms of the intensity of conflict, but also horizontally, like it's spilling over and then drawing in NATO, triggering an Article 5, which then requires us to be at war. And that's exactly what we don't want, and we're trying to prevent right now. And that's why we need leaders in Congress who understand the urgency of this problem. But to the second part of your question about, I think the longer pacing threat is China. And more importantly, it's the relationship between China and Russia that's continuing to strengthen, which is really bad. Because both economically, politically, militarily, we're seeing them become closer. And the closer that they become, it makes it harder for us to deter and ensure that we have, ensure that our oceans remain free and open, to make sure that we can protect democracy and defend freedoms, not only here, but around the world.
So you're running, I'd say, a pretty progressive campaign, not maybe a far left one, but certainly you're progressive on the issues as a Democrat. You're talking about the need to, I know you said, spend smarter, people say that something, but there's a lot of progressives who, their instant reactions, they hear it, there's an $878 billion defense budget moving through, that's already too much. So what do you say to that?
I agree 100%. And that's why, being in the wargaming department, we've helped prioritize and understand these threats. And I would have been one of, I think, 2 veteran Democrats in Congress right now, if I were serving, that would have voted against the NDAA.
Jake Goncalves did across the border.
Exactly. So because it doesn't address the most urgent threat, which I mentioned is Russia in Ukraine. And number 2, I actually support going one step further and supporting an amendment that reduces it by 10%. So that we can invest in some of the critical needs and resources that we need here. I got to push back
just because just as a budget reporter, when you're saying let's cut the budget, while you're also saying we can't build ships like we did in World War II, our shipbuilding capacity is too low. Is there really that? And we know the defense contractors will not allow you to reprogram a lot of that money.
It requires us to prioritize and make hard decisions. Like, we can't be everywhere doing everything.
But is there any sign that would ever happen in Congress with the power of the contractors?
You have to, you have to lead by example, and that's why I jumped in this race, is because we need leaders in Congress that understand the urgency of the problems we're facing, but have the vision, the courage, and the experience of doing something about it. And especially in the defense world, look, we've got to prioritize better, we've got to spend better, spend smarter, because we're approaching $1 trillion defense budget right now, and that's not sustainable.
All right, we have 2 minutes left. So why don't we do the rapid fire real quick? Get through these. Support or oppose federal ban on weapons like AR-15s?
I do, absolutely. And as a veteran, I know the responsibilities, but the risks. And I would go one step further, Tim. I would say, not only assault weapons ban, a mandatory buyback program. Comprehensive.
A mandatory buyback program.
Yeah. So if assault weapons, you buy them back. But one step further, right? It's easier to drive a car than it is to get a firearm, right? So license, registration, proof of insurance, which requires both a health screening and training, right? And I think those three things, comprehensive, common sense.
The way Congress is now, though, do you think that's a realistic possibility?
Not right now, because of how polarizing and how divisive our politics are today. But that requires leaders who can bring people together and get stuff done.
All right, let's go through the rest. That's okay. I let you go on that. Support or oppose term limits for Supreme Court justices?
I'm open to the discussion, but I think
rapid fire, Walter.
Sorry. I am open to expanding.
Yeah. No, it wasn't an expansion. It's a term limit question.
I'm not sure, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about term limits for members of Congress?
I do. And
how long?
12 and 12, so folks can pass the baton off and let the new generation lead.
All right. I do want to ask you about 30 seconds
Yes.
left. Are you satisfied with the outcome of the signature scandal? I asked John Goncalves that.
I've got questions about, I think the Board of Elections said there was no fraud. But
10 seconds left.
But there was, look, I think it's a matter of judgment. It's a matter of integrity. It's a matter of doing the right thing as a leader, coming out, being honest, and communicating. And that took a while, but
Walter
we eventually
Berbrick,
got there.
Democratic candidate for Congress, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.